America is 29 out of 57 nations internationally when it comes to science, 35th out of 57 internationally when it comes to math. And what that tells me is that efforts to just tweak and tinker around the edges to just try one new silver bullet have not gotten the job done, or unlikely to get the job done, and we need much more profound change. Some people say, are you hopeful the achievement gap can be closed? Frankly, for me, and I'm a bit off the reservation here, for me, that's not the key question. For me, the question is, can we do better by all our kids? And I think sometimes what happens when we focus just on the achievement gap is it becomes just a question of, can we bump up reading and math scores among African American 4th graders and 6th graders? And I think that frames it too narrowly. I think it's frustrating to educators, and I don't think it does justice to our kids. Seems to me the question ought to be, in America, a nation with 1/3 of the world's gross domestic product, a nation that has led the world, out of the Cold War into a period of global prosperity, a nation which has delivered one advancement after another through our history. Can we do better than we're doing today with our schools? And I find it ludicrous to think we can't do much better, and that we can't do much better by all of our kids. So what it requires is much more than just adopting some pedagogical practices, than having the kids clap every 5 minutes, than using a particular instructional model. What it really requires is a wholesale rethinking of what's going on in these districts and schools. Some districts are going to be able to do that effectively. It's going to require tough, energetic leadership from the school board and from the superintendent, and it's going to require backing from the state legislature. Other districts, I think, aren't going to be able to retool themselves this way. Either the leadership's not going to be up to the task, or they're just not going to have the savvy to pull it off. And in those places, I think it's going to be essential that if we want to build schools of excellence, and we want to take islands of excellence and build them into a bridge of excellence, that what's going to need to happen is going to have to happen in some cases outside of the familiar school district. Some schools are much more effective than others, really seeming to create a culture of excellence, at getting faculty to buy in, at creating a school you walk into and you go, my goodness, something special is going on here. Part of what they're doing is it's just effective leadership. You can do this, right? Well, one of the things that always amazes me is we all know people who work in industries which are seemingly pointless. They're selling potato chips, or they're marketing toothpaste, and they're excited to go to work every day. And they feel good about it, and they feel valued. And they don't think, geez, does it really matter if we sell more potato chips? They say, no. They say, I take pride in what I do. I feel valued. School systems aren't very good at this generally. Even though they're doing an immensely important activity, they've managed to make people feel uninvested in it, which is really pretty amazing. What these really effective schools do is, one of the things they've done is they've simply brought in effective management, and they've created an environment where teachers feel that their voices are heard, that their input is valued, that performance is recognized, and that everybody's pulling together to kind of, pulling on those oars in the same direction. Now, the one wrinkle here is that what a lot of these schools do also is they become magnets for talent because of this. There are schools, people say, I want to be in that school. And the trick here is that this means that these schools often attract particularly energetic and dynamic teachers. And so when somebody looks at these schools and says, they've got the secret sauce. Let's just do what they're doing, we'll do it over here, and it'll work. The problem is that it's not clear you can do that if you don't have the kinds of people who are ready and eager and willing to make it work. And that means part of the bigger challenge here is we've got to do a better job, a much better job, of bringing into education the kinds of people who are eager and willing and comfortable making these kinds of commitments. I think the most important thing about successful schools, besides the fact that they're educating their kids, is that they give people a sense of the possible. It's easy for people to say, well, nothing that we can do about this. It's too hard. And when they don't see any examples of it being done, it's easy to say, well, it can't be done. So the first thing is it makes it possible. People have to talk differently about what's going on. The second thing is that, voters, policymakers, philanthropists who are given money, if they can't see something, if they don't know what you're talking about, it's hard for them to vote for it, or vote for a candidate who talks about it, or give money to it. So a hugely important thing about successful schools is that they make it possible for people to say, this is what I'm in favor of. And I think it totally changes the politics and the effort to really muster support for these changes. What I want is a world where we keep kids interested and energized and where they're getting educated. And I think That, as long as we keep our eye on that ball and don't let ourselves focus too narrowly on fixing this institution or on moving that test score, that we're going to be in a much better place.